everyone. I'm Cathilea Robinett, President and CEO of eRepublic, the parent company of Governing Magazine. We are starting a new series where we're featuring the 2025 Governing Public Officials of the Year. For over 25 years, we have been selecting and celebrating those individuals who are truly making government better. We hope that you enjoy these conversations. Today, I'm very excited to be joined by Los Angeles Chief Information Officer, Ted Ross. Welcome, Ted, and congratulations on your Public Official of the Year award for 2025.
Thank you so much. I know it sounds like a cliche, but it is sincerely humbling to be among a group of public officials. There's so many great people and great leaders in the United States. So I'm honestly humbled to be named this year.
Well, it's exciting. You know, right behind me, I have this behind me now, but in this office that I have, my home office, there's lots of photos. And right back here is a photo of me and Eric Garcetti when he was Public Official of the Year for Governing Magazine. So you're in good company there. I think I first met you when he was mayor.
I appreciate that. Yes, we did.
So, and you have done many, many things for the city of Los Angeles. I want to start, first of all, just talking about your background. Obviously, you're very passionate, you're persistent, you've been at this for some time, even during difficult times. But what brought you to public service in the first place?
Sure. My dad was an aerospace engineer, so my brothers and I wanted to go into computer science and engineering. But what happened is during college, I actually fell in love with business. And so I was the black sheep of the family. I became an accountant. I did, yes.
Okay.
And so I ended up being an accountant. I started working in various private sector jobs for several years. I worked at Universal. I worked at H&R Block Corporate. I worked at a dot-com startup, and then 9/11 happened. And that was honestly very impactful to me. I wanted to serve my country. I had young children at home. I wasn't going to join the military, so I joined government. And I joined the city of Los Angeles and began working at Los Angeles World Airports with their financial system. So while I may have started as an accountant, I quickly ended up in accounting systems, and then I ended up in this role. I worked for the controller's office. I helped to implement their ERP system, and I joined the IT agency in 2012 when they were in a crisis. And here I am 13 years or so later, still with the IT agency, and I've been CIO for the last 10 years, believe it or not.
Wow. Actually, I can't believe that. That is, you were tenured, you know? Most people
Yes,
don't last that long. So,
they really don't. I either am doing something well or I'm doing something terribly, and this is punishment for mistakes made in my past.
well, I don't think so. So, you know, you have accomplished a lot ever since I've known you. In fact, I think I toured a 311 call center with you before. You've done so many things. You have so many accomplishments. And, you know, you've done it through a budget crisis. You've lost a fair amount of staff. I really would like to know, kind of, what is your secret? How do you continue to manage and overcome those difficulties and do all the things that you've been able to do and all the things you've accomplished?
You know, honestly, I've got to say it's both the most challenging and it can be the most rewarding experience is being given less than ideal circumstances and having to work through with great people, by the way, to work with to make these things happen. And so I think first and foremost, I think good strategy is really important. I think a lot of government organizations are very reactive, and I understand exactly why. There's always something every day. I'm in Los Angeles. There's always an emergency, an issue, something to demand your time and your attention. But to really gain value, we're going to need to be strategic. So our ability to create short, medium, and long-term goals. So there's things that you plant and they'll reap a reward in weeks or in months. There's things you plant and it may take 6, 9 months, and there's things that might take years. So the ability to continue to plant short, medium, and long-term goals means you're always bearing fruit, means you're always pulling something out of the ground and making the most out of it. I love the fact that we're able to introduce modern platforms here at the city. We're Workday users. We're proud Workday customers. We went live with payroll last year and it was successful. We're proud Salesforce customers with our MyLA 3 modernization, which went live this last March. We're
Hmm.
proud Google Gemini customers. We have 27,500 users of Gemini AI because we're Google Workspace users. And there's a lot of really great companies out there. So it's not just about the companies, but it's about being modern, using modern tools and modern capabilities to really help deploy great services to the public. And above and beyond the platforms is also the people. We have to upskill our workforce. We've done a lot around training, especially around AI with our workforce. We have run a series of courses that we've had 3,000 to 5,000 attendees per, because we know that it's not just about modern tools, it's about people deploying modern skills and knowing how to use the next wave. I think the reality is technology greatly improves every bad situation, as we saw from the terrible fires that we encountered earlier this year, as we encountered with COVID, as we've encountered in all sorts of different facets. Modern tools, modern tactics, modern skill sets allow us to really effectively use technology. And I think that's what Los Angeles has really tried to work hard to do.
Oh, and plus, I mean, that is so hard. I mean, I know how hard that is. That's amazing. I want to quote back to you a quote from the magazine article where we featured you. And I love this quote. I want you to talk about this because, I think this is so appropriate and I think people would appreciate this. I think government really does its best when it acts like a middle class family. It is not wealthy enough to do it all, the dance lessons, etc. And like them, we as a department need to make choices. So that's hard. So talk a little bit about that.
Yeah, I don't mind being folksy sometimes. I may come from a big city, but I think that's really important. And I think an analogy can really be very powerful.
Mhm.
Quite often, sometimes we'll approach an issue and we'll want to provide a Mercedes or a Cadillac solution. And if we do apply a Mercedes or a Cadillac solution, it usually means there's no money left for any other challenge. And in government, there's a large list of challenges. You take a rock, you throw it outside, you hit four challenges, right? And so it's really important to provide kind of best value solutions across a myriad of places to deliver real value. So I think it's been very important for us to be able to really understand that technology appetite is insatiable. There's no way to provide enough technology so that everyone is satisfied all the time. So set priorities, make trade-offs, be honest and open with customers, explain the investments we've made, explain the reasoning behind these investments, add potential opportunities for them in our own roadmap, right? Knowing that we can't satisfy everyone, we owe it to our stakeholders to be honest, to be transparent in the decisions that we make. Technology is how we get things done through government. And so we just need to be able to be honest and transparent, set roadmaps, and work along with our constituents as best as possible so that we could always show value and show what we're doing. So yes, I do liken the work we do to a middle class family who, by
Yeah,
the way, middle class families are geniuses on how they stretch a dollar and they get a
yeah,
lot done.
yeah, definitely. I was a middle class family and that's how I grew up. So let's go from middle class families to leadership because I personally have been a big proponent of getting elected officials to understand this moment that we're in. And you have been able to do a lot in Los Angeles. Talk about the leadership there. Is there a drive there? I mean, all the modernization that you've done, obviously you've had to have somebody really giving you air cover.
Sure. Multiple people. I give a lot of credit to Mayor Karen Bass. She would be the first to admit that technology isn't what she went to school for. She's a good hands-on leader. So before we deploy something, especially something that maybe could have unintended consequences like AI or some other emerging technology, she wants to understand before we can pull the trigger and execute. She wants to understand who could be impacted positively, negatively, etc. So I believe our mayor has provided a lot of air cover to say the city has challenges and we want technology for us to be our best, to be efficient, to be effective on how we take on those challenges. We have several leaders in city council. We have a government operations committee. We have public works. We have public safety. We have so many different leaders who provide the same. And they often show themselves as council members with key priorities. One may really value accessibility, which means how do we deliver digital content that works for a variety of our stakeholders. One of them may like the idea of emerging technologies, while another one may be about, customer service and excellence. So we have a high bar, you could say, but I appreciate the high bar. The high bar means they're pushing us to be our best and to do our best. And so a lot of elected officials, I think, help contribute to our success.
Yeah, I appreciate that. And that's great. As we wrap up here, two last things. I love you also have a great quote at the very end of your interview where you say, LA is scrappy. Let's talk about attitude in LA, just because so much has gone on and so many great things continue to go on. What is that about that LA attitude?
You know, there are some really great people in Los Angeles, and I'm not just talking about the government. There's very talented people. It's seen as a land of opportunity. We have tremendous creatives, we have tremendous manufacturing, we have tremendous technology. So there's so many different facets to it. I think in a lot of ways, Los Angeles is competitive, but at the same time, I think we understand that we all just want to try to live a good life where possible. And so when it comes to challenges, we often provide and apply a certain kind of culture. We may not always be the best at any given item, but we try to be very competitive across every item. So we try to deliver great digital services. We also invest in infrastructure. We also try to manage good governance. We understand that good technology is a myriad of perspectives and not just one. We try to build diversity within our workforce. We try to recruit young talent. And so I think that's what makes work in government exciting, right? There's so many different challenges, there's so many different opportunities. And so the ability as a leader and the ability of working with others to connect the opportunities and the challenges and use this thing called technology that just changes every single year.
Yeah.
I think that's always the heart of it. There's plenty of things to get frustrated in life and frustrated in government. But I think as long as we can enjoy what technology can do and how it can really change and improve people's lives, I think there'll always be people willing to rally around that. And I think Los Angeles has that attitude. And as I said before, I think LA could be very scrappy. Heck, we saw it with our World Series win just recently. Dodgers down a couple of games and they were scrappy.
I love that. Yes, plus also I think you guys have great weather and that probably helps as well.
Doesn't
So
hurt.
last, I really would like you to give any advice you have to all of those who are going to see this and listen to this. How did you get here? What advice do you have for leading during difficult times, leading, being persistent, and ultimately doing what's right for the citizens?
It's a great question. I think quite often in government, people become very risk averse, which seems almost ironic because quite often it's hard sometimes to change things in government, and yet we're really fearful of failure. I think loosening that a little bit is not a bad idea. Be willing to take calculated risks, be willing to put it on the line. I've had times where there'd be maybe a very challenging project or a very challenging situation. It could be COVID, could be a freeway closure, it could be these terrible fires. And I don't think the public is looking for us to be risk averse and to run to safety. They're looking for us to lead. They're looking for us to stick our neck out a little bit. We're not gambling, we're not being reckless, but I think they want real leadership. So our ability to step out there and say, you know what, I don't always get everything right, but I'm willing to step into the breach. I'm willing to try to bridge needs. I'm willing to admit when I've made a mistake, but I'm also going to bring resources to bear and energy to bear to try to help improve the situation. I think quite often government doesn't step in as much as it should, and they really can do it. And they could do it in a great way. And there are many governments who have done that and done that well. So for anybody working in government, don't run from the emergency, step into the emergency, step into the crisis and give it what you have. I think another aspect that I've learned is that there's no such thing as technology projects. I may be seen as an IT person, but what I found is that really most projects or all projects are people projects and they have technology as a component. So while I might be chief information officer over and over again on our projects, I find that the new technology has all these exciting features, but what really people are looking for is what does this do? what outcomes does it create? How are people going to be less frustrated with their services? How are people going to find the solutions to be better? So I find that that focus and that mindset, that whether you're deploying people or whether you're deploying technology, just really understand your constituency, understand their needs, and move the needle as often as possible. Move the needle. I found that to be useful in my career, and I hope that's useful for someone else in their career.
Well, thank you, Ted. As always, your passion comes through. I am so proud and honored to be with you here today, and really excited that you are our Technology Public Official of the Year for 2025. So
The,
congratulations
the
again.
pleasure is mine. Thank you very much.
And thank you for joining me, and go celebrate those Dodgers.
Go Dodgers.